open your mind.
The Prophet of Thought series.
Peace, folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Prophet of Thought series right here on the old TPOT YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, but you knew that already. That's why you are here. And tonight, we have a special show because we got a special brother on here tonight. Brother Universal Jones, my man, psychotherapist out of one of the Twin Cities. Very, very insightful brother. I got a lot of respect for this brother. And tonight, as y'all can see, the title of the show is going to be Subscribing to the Psychobabble. And when I talk about psychobabble, I mean some of the psychobabble that we hear, not just from media and radio and television alike. I'm talking about some of the psychobabble that we hear from our own people. Because as we all know, all of us that are on media, we all of us have some degree of platform. We all have some type of digital footprint. And a lot of us have a lot of things to say. And a lot of us have a tendency to get up here and pretend to be, psychologists, lawyers, doctors, psychotherapists, social scientists, all of that shit. We get up here and we try to come off as we are these things because with the magic of media, you can be anyone. Okay, you can be in mom's basement and get on here and pretend to be a doctor. You can live in mom's attic, get on here, pretend to be a lawyer, a school teacher, whatever you want. But in reality, we know that most of us are not, because doctors, lawyers and professors and accountants and all these great minds aren't really on YouTube. You know why? Because they're out practicing law. They're out practicing medicine. They're somewhere practicing psychology. They're not on fucking YouTube every day. But anyway, let me bring in my brother, brother Universal Jones. What's good?
Greetings, Brother X. Thank you for bringing me on. And you are right about that. We are too damn busy to be on YouTube all day, every day.
I
That's
know.
why my content ain't on there.
Exactly. Well, you're a professional,
Man.
brother. You're in the psychological field, and
Yep.
won't you speak to that, man? Because you know there's a lot of shit on media, man, and here lately, the last say few months or so, the reason why I continue to be on media, because believe it or not, I was actually thinking about giving this shit up, but I've had an explosion of fucking subscribers, an explosion of views, fucking explosion of fucking donations. So you know I must remain on here now.
Yeah.
You know.
That's right.
And the reason why I was thinking about stopping, you know, before the explosion of subscriptions is because it's so much bullshit on media. And I didn't want to feel like I was part of it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be, you know, because
Right.
I thought that I was possibly, you know, putting bullshit onto the airways too to folks. So I was really considering, you know, stopping, you know, stop doing this shit, man, brother Jones, because I am so tired of bullshit. I'm tired of people preaching bullshit. I'm tired of people talking about shit that they're not living. You know, it's like a lot of us, my ass included. Okay, we are like a caricature of a person, of who we really fucking are. You know, because I never come on here and pretend to be a fucking doctor, lawyer, astronaut, a rocket scientist, you know, a quantum physicist. I never come on here and pretend to be that shit. You know what I am? I'm a fucking power mechanic. I run a power mechanic shop. That's my claim to fame. That's what I'm an expert in. I've been doing that for 30 fucking years. Master of my craft. That's what I'm an expert in. Now, when it comes to that shit, I'm an expert. I'm a master, but I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a fucking lawyer. I'm not a fucking accountant. I'm not a social scientist. I'm not none of that shit. So speak to some of this shit in your own experience that you think has kind of polluted the fucking airways of YouTube, man, with all these false fucking people who claim to be shit that they know they're not, and we know they're not.
Well, what I think has happened is the gift and the curse of the internet, where we have been overexposed to information, which can be a good thing if you're cultivating an environment where people are learning, developing, and evolving. And it can be a bad thing when you're just utilizing information to fulfill a personal agenda, to use it to prove yourself right because you have holes in your own self-esteem, self-identity, self-worth, or if you're using it to continue to cause frustration and confusion amongst Black people. And I think that is what we end up seeing a lot of, is a lot of bickering back and forth between groups, a lot of bickering back and forth between people who ultimately have become thought leaders. And I know Cerulean talks a lot about how these people have skills, they have talents to be thought leaders, but they have not channeled and developed their skill set to improve our community. They've done it to further cause the anti-Blackness, the confusion, and the hurt that we end up having. And it's unfortunate because these are the people that people latch on to. We don't need to mention any names. We all know who the popular Black folks are on YouTube. In this, we could talk about the manosphere or just in this Black sector of YouTube, who these folks are. And the arguments become circular. The communication becomes circular. The behavioral patterns of these people continues to happen over and over and over, and you can tell who those people are because their subscribers do not increase. The people who they bring on as guests do not change, and they have the same talking points over and over and over again. It's not built on development. And I think that that's one of the ends up putting us in a harmful position, but a very disadvantage, because these are people who do have charisma. These are people who do have the ability and the gumption to get on YouTube and put themselves out there to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, how are we evolving as a people? Because when I get on YouTube and I might as well just do a screen share and just show you some of the accounts, the channels that I'm subscribed to. It's a whole bunch of different shit because I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to develop myself. The way that I found you was being connected to folks like BGS and Angry Man, and even to a certain extent, Obsidian, right? Checking out fellas like them has connected to me to you, and then you have guests like Sherazad Ali, right? And then you have brothers that you even bring on brothers that I don't even agree with, but I still check them out because I know that I can still get something out of the conversation, or I can check to make sure that I'm thinking about things clearly. But I know that does not happen with people. People go to who they're comfortable with, even when those people prove to be wrong, or those people prove to rob them of money or whatever the case may be. People still go to those folks because they're not trying to develop themselves. They're not trying to evolve. They are adapting and staying stuck in their same mentalities and they're not growing. And I think that's why you do not have a lot of what you said, like professional folks on YouTube. Is, yeah, we are busy, but at the same time, where is our place to utilize our skill sets, our disciplines? Where is that? Where is the audience for that? Because I can tell you right now, I work about 65, 70 hours a week, and I definitely can do the same things that I do at work on YouTube, but will my following be there? Will the support be there if I'm not talking about how Black females are fucked up? If I'm not talking about dating, if I'm not talking about pussy, if I'm not talking about these things, no one's going to listen. If I'm just going straight hardcore, we're going to talk about personal development, right? And I'm just going straight hardcore on things like entrepreneurship. Are people going to listen if I don't infuse some of the fuckery into it? I don't think so. So it gets discouraging for a lot of Black professionals, or if you want to say Black professionals, or these guys who have this level of status, whether we're talking about psychologists, lawyers, financial Black men who are in the finance or high level entrepreneurs, because it becomes repetitive. I listened to a gentleman like Glendon Cameron. He talks about this, like, you have to put this stuff into action. And people, he charges high prices. I bought some of Glendon Cameron's programs, and hell yeah, it cost a pretty penny, but guess what? It helped me because I was trying to invest in myself to develop. I wasn't just there for him to be talking about his adventures with various different women, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a little bit of a segue, or a little bit of a kind of how I see this whole frustration of the babble that we have in the Black sector of YouTube.
And of course, I totally agree. I agree with everything you said, because I mean, and I'm guilty of it myself, because I mean, I look at my numbers right now. I mean, look at the amount of people who are in here. Okay. Now, when I do my Thursday night shows where I got the brothers on there going ham, shit, it's 20 times that, 30 times that, because I have the brothers on there, they going ham, they talking, they talking shit, they arguing, they fighting and all that kind of nonsense. So, it's lit. I have 1,000 views by the time the stream is over. And but see, the reason why I started doing those shows is because if you look at those shows that I do, the DXL shows on Thursday nights, I always have people on the show that I disagree with. I mean, you find when you look on my show, there's a few brothers that come on there that I totally disagree with.
Right.
I have a couple brothers who come through who are staunch conservative Republicans. I have brothers who are libertarians, brothers who are diehard liberals, and they argue and fight amongst each other. Not so much argue and fight, but, they get pretty passionate in the heat of a discussion. And I don't have a problem with it, because I don't think we all have to have one goddamn one ideal for us to come together and make something happen. Okay. And that's what I think the narrative has been, far too long. on media, it's like we all must agree, because if we don't all agree, guess what? Somebody's a coon, somebody's a sellout, somebody's a Sambo, because they don't agree with us. And I think that's just ridiculous, man. I think that in itself is psychobabble, when you're telling people that because I don't agree with you, I'm somehow not as black as you. I am a Sambo because I don't agree with you. I'm a sellout because I don't agree with you. You know, I'm a coon because I don't agree with you. That's BS, man. That is freaking BS. I don't think all black people, I don't think we have to be monolithic, you know, to be terrific. I just don't believe that. But a lot of people on media do, because like you said, they like to go to their comfort spaces where they can talk and everybody's doing the bobblehead, you know. You know, because when you got that, man, that's not a coalition, man. You got a bunch of people sitting around you with the bobblehead. That's not a coalition, man. That's a fucking peanut gallery.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a peanut gallery. So for us to get past this psychobabble shit, man, I think a lot of us have to look deep inside ourselves, man, and understand ourselves better, because you can't be a solid leader, man, if you have a problem with people who disagree with you, whether good, bad, or indifferent. You know, everybody's not going to agree with you, man. It's impossible. It's just like a sports team. I mean, you look at a football team, everybody out there in a quarterback, everybody out there in a running back, you know, everybody on the basketball court ain't a center, everybody out there in a point guard, everybody out there ain't a forward. So all those people who play those different positions, man, have to have a different mind state about the game. So with anything else, you know, especially in black society, there needs to be more of us who have, you know, who should we should be embraced, because we have a different mind state. Just like on a basketball court, okay, you're the point guard. Is it all right if I'm the center, as opposed to, you know, I have to think like a point guard too, even though I'm 7'3", you're 6'2". Okay, you can be a point. I'm 7'4". I need to play center. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's
get on
what
the
I,
block.
yeah, I mean, I need to be playing down low. I can't play point guard with you. With two different people. You know, so what? I'm off the team because I'm better suited for a center than a point guard, even though I'm 7'3". You know, so that's just kind of that's kind of the analogy that I use. Damn, I got some lint on my damn hat. I see that shit flying around. God damn it. And Brother Jones ain't even say nothing. Like, God damn, man, you got a piece of lint flying on
I
your
ain't catch
shit.
till you said something. I got it now, though.
You got a piece of lint flying on your shit. Yeah, you know, so that's why I say a lot of this shit is psychobabble, man, because I think we often find ourselves, man, we only want to talk to receptive fucking audiences, man.
Yes.
And not everybody's going to be receptive to your message, man. They're not. Because some people do believe that your ass a counselor, psychologist, you know, a professor. They believe you're a doctor, lawyer, astronaut, you know, all that kind of crap. But then there's the people like me. We don't believe it. We know you're not a doctor. We know you're not a damn psychologist. Yeah, because see, I have doctors and people in the psychological field like you on my shit all the time. They come down through TPOT. You know what I'm saying? Real PhDs, real doctors, real lawyers, you know, real people that really do this, and they're hard to get on. You know why? And I talk to them about this too. You know why they're so hard to get on? Because they're out practicing psychology. They're out practicing medicine.
Yeah. You know, I also believe that it's okay to have a little bit of what I call the fuckery. I think that it's okay because we do percent serious all the time. And as Black folks, we have learned how to cope culturally. That's what I call one of our cultural coping mechanisms, how to utilize humor in some of our pain and in some of our suffering. And I think that that's important for us to have. However, we've gotten to a place where it has become one of the main things that we do. That's all we go towards. And a lot of the content creators that I follow, they actually say it. When I put out this, everybody runs to it. But I put something out about this, nobody checks it. Like I like to use BGS for example. BGS will say something about crystal and kerosene, right? Everybody's gonna flock to that. They're gonna see what is he talking about with crystal and kerosene. But if he puts out something on how globalization's happening and how China's taking over Africa, he might get 200 or to 1,000 views versus something on relationships where he's getting 13,000 views, right? So we're running towards information that we need to understand both. I think both is important, but at the end of the day, some of these things that require us to pay attention that definitely impact our lives, we don't pay attention to, like the political stuff, because it's not as enticing or exciting. But we do need a level of entertainment. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm super hardcore and all I do is learn and all I do is listen to constructive content all day. Because, you know, I will listen to Star. I will listen to Star Report. I'll listen to, you know, for the most part, his content a little bit, but sometimes he can drift off. But he's been very consistent and very constructive. I would say in the last couple of months, you know, I'll tune in to folks like O'Shea periodically, but I think they've even drifted off to a different area as well. And even Tariq, I think even Tariq Nasheed at times, he can get into some entertainment and some education at the same time. I think he has a good balance of it for the most part. But we need both at the end of the day. But we need to be able to apply information from both of those areas to our lives to better ourselves, and not just taking the information just to have some humor and we move on with our lives. That's what I see a lot of, is people are not applying the information that they're actually learning from these people. And I hear brothers like Kevin Samuels talk about it all the time. Like, y'all need to support this. Y'all don't understand, you know, why we have this type of information out here. People they take it for granted because they don't understand how to apply it to their lives, which is one of the things that I've been thinking about as I, you know, want to get back into developing more content, is how do I help Black folks, not just Black men, but Black folks, period, start applying some of this stuff. So that's what I think about, is what are the content creation strategies that I can utilize where people will watch a 5-minute video and actually apply some stuff to their life. Because right now we're not applying, you know, talking about should Black men be respected if they have a white partner, or should we move to Africa? And like we can't, nobody's applying it. It's interesting, it's entertaining, but it's not applicable. We're not putting it into anything. We're not utilizing. Then we just start getting into arguments. So that was one thing that I thought about, is like, I think there's balance in both, but we have to figure out how do we apply the lessons that are in both types of content, the constructive content and some of the entertainment or the fuckery that we end up listening to.
Yeah, well, I don't really have a problem with people doing you know, crazy shit. Yeah, I don't. I mean, because everybody on media, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, whatever people are into, you have a right to say whatever you want, do whatever you want. I mean, that's your page, you know, on you know, on that platform. You're allowed this. You have the right to say whatever you want on there. Just like I have the right not to listen to your shit. You know, I have the right not to listen to that.
Exactly.
And I feel that many times people feel like they have other people psychologically locked in. So they feel like, you know, you're supposed to listen to me. You're supposed to follow my content. And you're also not supposed to listen to him. You're supposed to not follow his content. You know, because I think as people, because, you know, I'm a content creator, you know, I have a platform. So I'll say I think that we often get ourselves caught up into thinking that, you know, we really have control over people because our Black asses sit up here with a microphone and a camera. We really think we're controlling people. You know, we get that God complex where we can really tell people what to do. We can really instruct people. we can really freaking, lord over people and say, you're supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that. I mean, I think we get caught up in that shit. And I've tried to control myself over doing that shit too. And I make it a sure thing every time I speak to not instruct nobody to do anything that I have not done, in the process of doing, or planning to do. If it doesn't fit in those 3 titles, you're not going to hear X say, well, you should go with. No. Why would I be telling you to do shit that I haven't done, that I'm not doing? To me, that's stupid. Okay, because now I'm giving you psychopath. I'm just telling you about shit that I don't even have any experience in. I don't even have any experience in it. So what the hell am I doing telling you when I don't have any experience in it? And I've told people this before, and they're like, well, the information is still valuable. Maybe it is. But if you go, say you want to go and you want to learn about law, okay? Where do you want to learn from? Where do you want to learn law from? Do you want to learn law from a lawyer or the garbage man who works at McDonald's? Where would you rather learn about law? Where would you rather learn about psychology? From a psychologist or someone who works at freaking Target? Let's be clear. Now, the person who works at Target may have a vast knowledge of psychology. They may know a little bit about psychology. But guess what? I feel a little more comfortable if I'm talking to a damn psychologist about it, as opposed to the cashier at freaking Target. And that's kind of what we got going on in the media. We got freaking cashiers at Target trying to teach people law. We got cashiers at Target trying to teach people psychology and and biology and I mean, come on, man. I mean, that kind of crap is just crazy. And also, before we continue, it's this one brother, man, that I have to shout out. This man has got to be the hardest working, and no one mentions it, so I'm gonna mention it now. So I hope the brother ain't embarrassed. This brother has to be the hardest working freaking person, the hardest working moderator in the chat room. And you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about brother DUG, brother Doug. I mean, brother Doug is a moderator in like everybody's chat room. And I love the work that this brother does. When this brother is in your chat room and he's a moderator, no matter how many guests are on the panel, whether it's 2 or 10, when you speak, brother Doug just spams your information down through the chat room. I mean, brother Doug is that dude. I got a lot of respect for this brother, and I'm honored to have him as a mod up in my chat room, because I see what he does. All the people shows and platforms that I go on to, all of them have Doug as a moderator. Lets me know that Doug is that man behind the scenes on that keyboard with that mouse. So Doug is that man. So I salute you, my brother. Like I said, I hope I didn't embarrass you, but I had planned on shouting you out tonight because I think you're the hardest working man in the chat channel. All right.
Shout out to Doug.
Yeah, man. Just so you know, I appreciate you, brother. You do the thing, man. You do the goddamn thing. But anyway, yeah. So oftentimes, brother Jones, because I know you're in psychology field, even though you told me before we came on air you moved up a bit,
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk about that, man, because the last time we spoke you were seeing clients, like the therapist. But let us know, what you got going on now, because we ain't spoke to you in a while.
Yeah, I've made a transition out of direct therapeutic work. Technically I made the transition May of 2017, but I still had a small private practice that I had going on. But what ended up happening was, as I kind of dwindled off my clients, it became more of mentoring, because I had three younger African-American men, as we like to call them here in Minnesota. And then I had one young Black woman. So I stopped charging them because we were done with the therapy piece of everything. And I just kind of became a mentor, kind of helping, supporting and guiding these young folks who've had a lot of trauma in their life. And I didn't feel right charging them, an hourly fee for me doing my diligence as a Black man in the community. And what ended up happening was I went to move into administration at a I don't want to mention them online. So we are a federal qualified healthcare center that has a nonprofit attached to it. And I work in integrating programs. I manage human service programs. All my programs deal directly with African-American folks, Black folks, us. But more specifically, 3 of the 5 programs that I manage deal directly with African-American men and boys. One is a truancy diversion program. So these are young men who are struggling to get to school, usually because they have some family-related issue happening. Another program, which is a pretty big program, gets a lot of press.
Yep. Wait, Brother Jones. You mean to tell me that you are on the ground actually helping Black folks?
Oh, yeah. I'm on the ground and I'm behind the scenes.
Really? What is the matter with you? You mean to tell me
school district?
You mean to tell me you help Black folks in real life, not just on YouTube?
I try.
In real life, not just on YouTube.
Yeah. I try.
All right.
And being on the front lines is good, but sometimes you need people who are conscious, who have some solid Black pride behind the scenes as well. And I think that we don't have enough of that. And that's why I get in a lot of trouble around these parts, because I don't just go along and get along a lot of times, but I found my way at a lot of tables that people are wondering how the hell did he get up in here? Because he's a little Black kid from WIC, food stamps, and Section 8. And he made it to this level where he knows the mayor by both Twin Cities mayors by first name, and can have conversations with both of them on how we can improve the Twin Cities in general. But that's what's important, because a lot of times we don't have folks who are like me, who know about people like Dr. Amos Wilson, Neely Fuller Jr., Dr. Francis Chris Wellesley, and Sherazad Ali, who know any of these folks, right? That are in these positions that need to be making the changes that need to be made, or need to be conversating on the level so people can understand that we can't just have mentoring programs and think that that's going to solve the problems of Black children. That is not the only solution, but those are the things that get funded. There are some other things that need to happen that are a little bit more direct. So like I said, one of the programs is truancy diversion, because trying to help young kids get up into school and stay in school as much as possible. Even though we know the school system is not where it needs to be, it's still an important institution that we need to have influence in. So I have a program that deals with that. Usually these young people are missing school because they have some family issues going on. They're highly mobile and homeless or homeless. Parents are either in the picture or not in the picture. Parents might have a chemical dependency issue, might have some mental health challenges. Parents might have just been gone and grandma's been taking care of them, but grandma's 72 years old and can't keep up with a 16-year-old Black boy and his little siblings running around. So we get in there, have case management teams. They work with the families, trying to help connect them to other resources. And really what we're trying to do is get these young people to develop some vision for their own future. Because a lot of times what happens in our programs is we see they have no concept of the future because of the trauma they've been in. One thing we know about trauma is about the moment. You're not thinking about what's going to happen in months when you're just trying to survive and you're in survival mode, what we call survival stress management. You're worried about right here, right now. The analogy I like to use when I talk to my young men is when a girl is ready to go, she's pulling them panties down and it's time to go. You're not thinking, oh, I ain't got a condom. You're thinking, let me get this booty because this is right here, right now. You're not, let me run to the corner store real quick and grab a little 3-pack of condoms. You're thinking, let's get it popping right here, right now. You're not asking any questions. Because why? Because sex feels good and you're trying to get yours off. That's how we operate in our community a lot of times because we've gone under so much stress. We're just trying to feel good. So if somebody says something to me crazy, if it's a teacher, if it's a police officer, if it's my mama, and they say something crazy to me, it's going to feel good for me to just say, F you, get out my face. Right. And that might not be the best decision that you can make for yourself in that moment in time. But that's what trauma does. We literally have our amygdalas that get hijacked and make us do irrational things because we're not thinking with our prefrontal lobe. We're not having executive functioning. We're not utilizing a lot of reasoning. We're just with it. We're just like, it's on right here, right now. You're not going to disrespect me. And boom, now we have a conflict happening. So all that goes in all my programs. The other programs that I operate, I have a program that I work directly with probation services, juvenile probation. So we get referrals for guys who are freshly on probation. These are 12 to 17-year-old black boys who are freshly on probation, first-time offenders. And what our goal is to try to help them not reoffend and make it through their time on probation clean. And we deal with whatever issues they have going on and whatever the circumstances were that led them to being on probation. Trying to be upstream versus, downstream, and trying to help these young brothers not get further caught into the system while they do have an opportunity to get out of it. The other program I have works directly with shooters in the community. In the Twin Cities, we really don't have, black folks don't really have gangs. Let me say that. Black folks, we have more cliques in the Twin Cities. There are other types of gangs. Mainly the Latinos they have their own gangs. We have, and also the Somali community and the natives have more gangs. But even those are developed a little differently than how black gangs are. We have more cliques here in the Twin Cities. So my program deals directly with a lot of the shooters of these cliques. We have a lot of gunplay here in the Twin Cities. So with this program, we're trying to provide other opportunities for them not to utilize them pistols on each other. And in this program that I run right now, I run the human service arm of this program. We've been credited with decreasing shootings in Minneapolis alone by 33% since 2007, May of 2017. So it has been labeled effective. But at the same time, I know that we can do more because, yes, shootings are down and there's a lot of guns getting taken off the streets. But I'm trying to change these young men's lives. I'm trying to reshift their lifestyles, and I can say this now with frustration, but also hope that we have not shifted every life that we've touched, but we have seen over 112 at this point we're at 112 young people who are involved in gangs that we work with. We haven't changed all their lives, but out that 112, about 30 of them have made some different decisions where they're not click banging anymore. So we're out here trying to do that type of work as well and provide other options. And these young brothers, man, they're struggling with homelessness. Most of these dudes ain't got a home. They bouncing from baby mama to baby mama, auntie, cousin. A lot of these cliques just kind of huddle up with each other. Most of them they haven't finished a high school diploma. A lot of them don't have basic things just to get a basic job, like an ID, birth certificate, none of this stuff. So we help them get all their basic needs met right away. If they're interested in going to college, we try to get them into school. I done paid for people to take tests. I done paid for GEDs. I done paid tuition because we like to go to little community colleges, enroll for a couple weeks, get that reimbursement check and bounce out. And then when we try to go back to school later, we don't realize that we owe some money because we left school early. So I done paid for dues. I done paid off tuition that they owed from years ago so they can go back to school. I've even helped a young man get a real estate license. So he wanted to change. He said, man, look, I'm smart. I know I got this record, but I need to get a real estate license. So we made some connections with the mayor. We talked to a few people, we pulled some strings, and his brother passed his real estate license test, and he's on his way to becoming a realtor. So we're out here trying to make differences as much as possible. I have a good network of people and some good teams doing this, but it's not easy. I need more good brothers that can do this type of work. I am in a position of influence and hiring, and I try to hire folks right at the community. I only have, of all my programs, I have 3 staff that actually have bachelor's degrees or higher. Everybody else is straight from the community, training them how to do this, how to be professional. And most of my staff have records actually too. Yeah. But, I can flex some things. I can make some things happen. We might have to pay a little bit of extra insurance for in our organization, but I'm trying to get the right people in the right positions so that we can have an impact on the work that we do. So that's what I do. A little bit about my educational background. I have a bachelor's degree in sociology from the University of Minnesota. After that, I went and got a master's in community psychology, which is a version of social psychology from a small school called Metro State here in the Twin Cities. And then I got another master's degree in psychotherapy from another small private specialized graduate program called Adler Graduate School. And at Adler, it's only for therapists, only for psychotherapists. And they train you on how to be a psychotherapist, but they utilize Adlerian therapy techniques, which I think fits very well for Black folks because it looks at how the community and society impacts individuals, and us being communal people. It's a therapeutic discipline that definitely matches who we are. And then I spent 4.5 years actually doing mental health therapy, direct therapy on a daily basis, seeing anywhere between 25 to 32 clients a week. Burn the hell out doing that. It is hard doing that type of work. And I needed to make a shift, but I still wanted to do therapeutic work, and an opportunity presented itself at my current employer. And that's when I've been doing these programs and building up these programs. So all my work is therapeutic in nature. I do also teach universities. One of the universities I mentioned, Metro State, there. And I also teach at, oh, that's what's up, Danny. Danny said she was accepted to Adler University. Danny, was it in Chicago or the one here in the Twin Cities? Right in the chat. But I teach at Metro State. I teach grad school at Metro State. And then I teach at a smaller school called Century College, where I teach just general psychology. So, man, I'm a busy dude. I'm young. I'm only 32 years old. I move quick. But my goal is to utilize this education, these experiences that I've had, to put things back into the community. One of the big things that I've been doing too, because I do a little bit of consulting as well, and there's this new phenomenon called mental health first aid. And I know in some parts of the country they call it psychological first aid. And what it is teaching therapeutic techniques to just regular old community folks. They do it with some professions as well, but how do you recognize mental illness? How do you teach these skills to people so that they can do some therapeutic work? In the community. So that's one thing that I'm big on too, is going into the community and hosting these trainings on how to do mental health first aid. And really, because we can do this. At the end of the day, most of the Black folks that I've dealt with, that really, once they learn some coping skills and were honest about the stuff they've been through, they've gotten better. We don't always need to go to a licensed professional, sit in their office for 45 minutes, have a diagnostic assessment done. There's some therapeutic work that can be done outside of that as well. So I'm gonna stop rambling and let you ask me another question.
Yeah, so you're actually doing it. You're doing the thing, Brother Jones. But I knew that about you before, because full disclosure, y'all, Brother Jones has been on the show before. I talked to him. We've kicked the shit many, many times. I don't want y'all to think, he's just some mystery guest that kind of came on here. He's been on this platform before. But anyway, yeah, I know you out there doing your thing, man. And it's great that you're literally on the ground, in the back doors, and in the backwards, in the back parts of it, not only in the back of it, but you're also out front, and you're literally helping people, like literally hands-on helping people being help that they can see, touch, hear, and benefit from, man. And I think that's just magnificent, brother. But what I think is not goddamn magnificent is the fact that this number does not match this number. This number does not match this number. I mean, you're in here, man. I mean, you might as well hit the like button. Do I got to do y'all the way I used to do y'all? Do we have to go back to that again? If that's what we got to do, fine. That's what we got to do. Here we go. I want you to take that hand. Take that hand. Move it nice and slow. Right over that like button. You're going to get it right there. And you're going to go click. That's all, man. That's all. I mean, come on. It's not like I'm asking you to give me $1. I'm asking you to give me a freaking like. You people, don't be cheap with your likes. But speaking of a dollar, if you're feeling generous, you can go ahead and drop a few coins in that there Streamlab link right there. And if you look up a little further, because the brother DUG, brother Doug, was so kind to put the Streamlab links up there before. I think it's about right here somewhere. Hit that Streamlab link, man. Go ahead, throw a few coins in the bucket, man. I mean, you got to realize that this is worth money by now. This is worth $1. This is worth 50 cents at least. Okay, I don't want anything less than 50 cents. Because this is worth at least 2 quarters. All right. So if you want to put anything in there less than 50 cents, just keep your money. Okay. What you're willing to give 50 cents, $1, $5, $10, $1 million, go right ahead. It is greatly appreciated. So, Brother Jones, now, if let's say, for instance, let's say that, because I know a few people that are in the psychology field like yourself. I'm not going to call them out because they know who they are. They listen to me. They're my subscribers and all that kind of stuff. And a few of them have, like platforms on YouTube and Facebook and things of that nature. And they get up there and they give, life tips, and they, tell people how to live and, how to take care of themselves and, how to do critical thinking and so on and so forth. They do that, with their platforms, but it's not a lot of them. Because I'll say again, they're busy people. They have a practice. They can't be on YouTube 24 hours a day. Do you think that we should have more of that? Should we have more professional Black folks, on? And I'm not talking people coming on just giving us a bunch of psychobabble. Okay, none of this psychobabble stuff. I'm talking about real professionals like yourself and other people who have masters and PhDs. Should we have more professional brothers like yourself on, kind of, giving people some concrete positive instruction, and if not instruction, things that people can take and learn from and possibly apply to their own lives? Should there be more of that on media?
Yeah, I think that there definitely should be more of it. And I think that there needs to be creative ways that we all do it so it's not the same. And because it can be dry. Just coming on here talking about psychological concepts can put you to sleep, man. It can be some dry stuff. One of the dope ways that I have done it in the past, and I stopped because, like you said, I'm so busy, is I will take something that's currently happening and connect it back to psychology. Because all this stuff that we deal with is psychological. But like when Kanye, months ago when he had the TMZ thing, I talked about how Black male vulnerability is a huge thing to our mental health. Whether you agree with him or not, dude is struggling with bipolar disorder, right? Now, he's out here wilding, he's saying crazy stuff, but also with that, he was being vulnerable in those moments. And I talked about how that vulnerability is something that we all struggle with, whether we're bipolar or not. So you can pay attention to what Kanye is saying, or you can look at his behaviors. Like there's a couple different ways that we can look at him, or at that time what was going on. You can have an emotional reaction to him wearing the Make America Great Again hat, or you can kind of understand that, oh, this is what mental illness looks like. This is mental illness in action, right? And how do you pair these psychological concepts to real life stuff that ends up happening? So I think that that's one way that we can do it, besides just hopping on YouTube and making a 12-minute video talking about, and today we're going to discuss major depression and then giving you the criteria. Nobody's checking for that. But if you see something on social media, I think or anywhere really, I think it's important for you to point out where the psychological pieces are up in there. So I think that's one way to do it. I think one thing that who did it? I'm trying to think who did it. But one thing that I've seen done is people psychoanalyze notable folks. So like they'll throw in like This is why Michael Jordan's motivation is, such and such. And then they'll give you the top 10 reasons why you need to be motivated like Michael Jordan and why motivation is important. And I think that things like that help with sharing this kind of content, but also attaching it to things that people are interested in. So I think that that's one way to do it. And I think one good way to do it too is by having conversations. One of the interesting things that I've seen happen on BGS's channel, with the Hangouts, is periodically you'll get somebody on there who's lost. They need help. But before that person gets jumped on, they're usually trying to walk them down the road to help them kind of clear up and point out what they're saying, or what's wrong about what they're saying. And this is why BGS always goes, don't kick the chair, right? So he's not just trying to sun people or check people. He's trying to help educate them to get them to a certain level. He's trying to, like he always says, I'm trying to make shepherds, not sheep. And I think taking those kind of clips out of like a BGS hangout and talking about that, like, this is where this person's mentality is wrong on such and such. Listen to what they say. So just kind of almost doing a psychoanalysis of the conversation that happens. That's another way that it can be done. And I mean, there's a lot of different things in this sector, in the manosphere or in the black sector. I think one to do it is just to use current events and talk about where the psychological elements are in those current events. Because that's what's going to draw the that's what's going to draw the likes, the views, the shares, is when you are when you're the first person to hop on and you're talking about what happened with Cardi B and why Cardi B has significant trauma in her history, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is what Cardi B should do to take better care of herself. Like, if you do something like that, you're going to get a lot more attention than just putting out a video on, these are the 4 elements of psychological trauma, or, these are 5 coping skills for 2018, or what. That's not how we incorporate our information, unfortunately.
Well, most of us black folks, we don't think anything's wrong with us anyway. We're all perfect. Yeah, we're all
and when
perfect.
people point it out, it's like, what you mean something wrong with me?
Yeah, we're all perfect. We all have perfect minds. We all have perfect hearts. We all have perfect agendas. And we're all magical, mystical, and all that kind of groovy stuff. That's just kind of how it appears. I say that sarcastically and snarkily, because we know it's damn well not true. All of us are not perfect. Most of us are freaking imperfect. But, we have this thing where, because I believe you and I, we talked about this some months back, where we talked about how, even a person who's obviously mentally ill will never stand up and say, hey, guess what, y'all? I'm mentally ill. You're just not, it's hard for us as black people to turn that corner. And we also spoke about how getting some type of mental therapy or some type of mental help would probably stem off and stave off a lot of things that go on inside of black society, because a lot of us are walking around goddamn mentally impaired, mentally damaged, crazy. A lot of us just are. There's no way there can be, what is it, like 40-45 million of us, and none of us are crazy. all 45 of us are sane. That's ridiculous. There's some crazy people up in that crowd, and guess what? We have to come to grips with that. Some of us do need some damn therapy. Some of us do need a psychotherapist like you. Some of us do need a damn psychologist. It's just getting people to realize that they need this psychological help, not so much of the damn psychobabble, but they need a psychologist or a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist, not the psychobabble that we often hear on YouTube. Because I've said this before too, if you think all the answers are on YouTube, your problems are probably much greater. If you think all of the answers are here, now don't get me wrong, you can get some concrete questions answered here on media. That's a fact. I mean, you can get some concrete answers, but if you think all the answers are here, trust me, your problems are much greater. All right.
Right.
The key to life isn't on YouTube. And the key to life isn't on a hangout or a live stream. I mean, the keys to life are not there. Okay. Maybe some little nuggets to life are there, but the meaning of life is not here. If y'all didn't know, just in case y'all didn't know, the meaning to life is not on YouTube.
Yeah.
Not. And I think a lot of us have gotten caught up in that shit, man. I mean, I think we've gotten so caught up in this media crap, man. I mean, and I think that media has contributed to a lot of our mental illness, man. I think it has contributed to us because it's taught some of us that some of our dysfunctional backward stuff is actually normal. Okay, because you have people who preach it. You have people who say, you know, this nonsense that you're doing, you know, is okay because of this, because of that, because of the white power structure, because of white supremacy, because, you know, you grew up poor, or, you know, you're black, so you should be allowed to do this, that, and the other thing. You know, we have people actually pumping that, and what it's doing is this, you know, it's compounding, man. You know, it's reinforcing the mental illness that some of us already have. It's reinforcing it. Do you I mean, what do you think about that? Has media played a part in some of us, you know, being more mentally ill than we already were?
Yeah, absolutely. Media is one of our influencers on how we learn in the world. So absolutely it plays a role in it. Personally, I believe that all Black people are mentally ill, especially if you live in the United States. What I mean by that is we live in a very anti-Black society. There's almost no way for you to escape the level of stress that comes from being classified as Black. Due to that, you have a level of mental. Okay. So the reason why I say that, and some of this thinking was influenced by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing as well, but you are physically and mentally responding to your environment 24/7, 365 if you are a Black person. We have to consciously think about the clothes that we wear, the places that we go, how we speak, what we eat, when to go where, how much light should be in the area that we're driving it. Like, we have to always think about this stuff because our livelihoods have been threatened since we've been on this on these shores, and we were brought from as Africans to slaves. So we almost can't escape the level of stress that just comes with that. So I think that all of us have a level of what we could say mentally. I would say we have emotional health issues at the end of the day. There is a slight difference between emotional health and mental health. Okay. A lot of Black folks have high levels of anxiety and depression. Those things can be considered mental illnesses, but they're probably more on the emotional health piece because we are responding to our environment so often. I don't see a lot of clinically depressed Black folks. I see a lot of Black people who are in depressive situations, and that's a big difference. Right now, the Bible of mental health, the DSM-5, before they switched to 5, the DSM-4 had 2 categories, what they called axis 1 and axis 2 for mental illnesses. And it's unfortunate that they don't teach this anymore because I think it's a good way of understanding what serious pristine mental illness is and what kind of this surface level illness is. So axis 1 would be things like depression, anxiety disorders, PTSD, things that are very treatable. Okay. Axis 2 are what we call serious pristine mental illnesses, schizophrenia, OCD, a lot of different things, bipolar disorder, these things that are treatable, but are very difficult to go away. Most of these things will never go away. They won't go away. And they need to be treated by psychiatrists with medications and some form of therapy, whether that's, in a group home setting, individual groups, day treatment centers, etc. So there's different degrees of mental illness. most of the clients that I've seen in my 4.5 years of actually doing direct mental health services have been in that Axis 1 area. There is a diagnosis called adjustment disorder. For the clinicians who are watching this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, a lot of Black folks are classified under adjustment disorders. There's a whole category full of adjustment disorders. What adjustment disorders are pretty much saying you have been through some tough shit in your life and you're responding to it, and that's looking like all these things: anxiety, depression, a mixture of both, conduct disorder, all these things, because within this period of time, whether it was 6 months, a year, 3 months, whatever, you've gone through a lot of stuff and it's showing up and giving you these mental illness symptoms. All right. So one of the things that I noticed right away from that, yes, and Danny put in the chat that Axis 2 are more personality disorders, which are very difficult to treat by medications and therapy. But Axis 1 disorders, especially with these adjustment disorders, when you give people coping skills and you help them become aware of why they're feeling the way that they're feeling, and you try to provide opportunities for them to shift their environments, they will get better. Right? It doesn't require medications. Not all the time. Sometimes it does, but not all the time. Sometimes it requires people being real with themselves, people having enough ability to be assertive to make change in their own life, and some skills to actually do it. And it worked wonders. It worked when I did it in family therapy. I've done it with couples. I've done it with individuals, how to help them change, because really they didn't have major depression, but they had some depressive symptoms, right? They didn't fit the full criteria, but they were close because of the circumstances in their lives. When you can help somebody see that they can make some shifts within those circumstances and they can make some changes, they get better. And it is no secret to this, right? There's no secret to this, but most folks don't think that their lives can be better than what they are, and they remain stuck because that discomfort, that level of being stuck is their comfort zone. And one thing about our comfort zone is we will stay there no matter how dysfunctional it is. What we know, right? I know that my partner is going to cuss me out and we might get into a fight on Friday. So I know that if I try to leave this person, I don't know what's next for me. I don't know if I'm going to get another partner. I don't know if I'm going to have any type of love or companionship. I don't know where I'm going to live. I don't know what's going to happen to my kids. That's a lot of worry. People ain't trying to think about all that stuff. So they'll stay in that abusive relationship, right? So this is what we end up dealing with, is a lot of times Black folks, we're just so busy responding to our environments. It's hard for us to develop and grow. And our responses to our environments, what we call our trauma responses, end up looking like mental illnesses. Now, granted, some Black folks definitely got personality disorder.
Yeah, some of us are crazy. Just
like the gentleman we talked about last time I was on, who was at by the train station.
Yeah, he's gone.
Guarantee you, he got.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
He passed?
No, I said he's gone. As a matter of, believe it or not. Oh, it's amazing that you brought that up, Brother Jones, because I was just in New York City again last week, because I'm back and forth to New York all the time. I'm in the South, but I'm always up and down the East Coast, New York City, Pennsylvania, Jersey, stuff like that. And I was in New York City actually, or for a sad occasion. I went for a funeral, but after the funeral, I was out and about, in New York City, because I was out there for like 8 days. And guess who I saw? Mr. Crazy himself, standing in the same spot, same spot. It's like no one has looked at this guy, Brother Jones, and said, okay, this dude's crazy. We need to take him, put him somewhere, do something. No, he's still there. He's been there, I want to say, since 2013. I've been seeing this guy 2012, 2013. In this same spot. And some of you out there probably know who I'm talking about. It's this brother, and y'all got to know who I'm talking about if y'all from the tri-state area. He stands on the side of the FDR when you're heading south, when you're heading, you're coming from the Bronx, heading south on the FDR. Those of you who are familiar with New York City, you're heading south on the FDR and you're heading towards the Brooklyn Bridge. You see this guy, and he's standing by a fence, and he usually has signs and all kinds of mess out there, and he has fruit. He has a fruit a shirt. He has a hat made out of fruit. He has a corn. He has like a corn cob, and he's holding it in front of him like it's his penis, and he has freaking a piece of fruit in his mouth. See, the fruit is kind of new, because before that, he actually used to just be standing out there in some crazy pose with a crazy sign with some crazy saying on it. So the fruit is kind of new. He's just been doing that over the last like couple years. You know, he's upgraded to the fruit, you know, the fruit suit. He's upgraded to that. So anybody who's in the New York City metropolitan area who has driven down the FDR southbound, heading towards the Brooklyn Bridge, you know exactly who I'm talking about. You cannot miss this freaking crazy guy. And I don't know why they haven't grabbed this guy up and put him in some type of institution. I don't know why. The cops ride right by him. It's like they know he's there. Oh, that's just a crazy guy.
He's a regular now.
Yeah, they don't care.
We have a couple of folks like that here in the Twin Cities. We used to have a man. He was a white guy who used to be on Wright Street. So for the folks who are in Twin Cities, you'll know what I'm talking about. He used to have dogs when he passed, and it was a big thing, but everybody knew this homeless dude who had mental illness. And then there's another person named Kathy. She kind of circles around St. Paul as well. And she definitely has some dissociative disorders. And nobody bothers her. But she'll be half naked, you know, on West 7th, and nobody does anything. And because you know what ends up happening is a lot of times these folks cycle in and out of hospitals. So it might seem like they haven't been in, but they might go in for a 72-hour hold. And then after a while, nobody knows what to do with them. So they cycle in and out. A lot of times these folks end up homeless, and they'll cycle in and out of homeless shelters. And it's sad. It's sad. You know, one of the weird things that doesn't get talked about once a lot of these institutions close down around the United States is that those were places to house people, even though there was a lot of horrific things going on, a lot of testing of techniques and medications. They still were housing these folks. Where now these folks are just on the street, and I know there's still mental health hospitals around the nation, but for the most part, many of them have kind of shut down. So yeah, it's unfortunate because people don't know how to handle that level of mental health care. Families don't know how to do it, so they end up kicking those people out, or they'll end up bouncing from, you know, family member to family members' homes. And then we don't really have institutions that support these people. We don't want to drug them to death. And the homeless shelters are few and far between. And unfortunately, we have such a messed up economy for folks that we have so many homeless people. We try to house the parents, really the moms and the children, before we house, you know, these individuals with mental illness issues. But it's a wild thing, man. I don't have a solution or answer for it. But it is something for us to think about, because that man in New York who's wearing the fruit suit, he's going to be out there in the next couple months, and it's going to be 20 degrees outside. Mm-hmm. And then what do we do? You know what I'm saying? So, and I think about that a lot because we have a pretty bad homelessness population here in the Twin Cities. Doesn't get talked about a lot. But when I go downtown, whether that's downtown Minneapolis or downtown St. Paul, I look over, I see Dorothy Day Center, I see the Salvation Army, and then I look to see who's homeless. Black men. Mostly black men out there.
Yeah.
So it's rough.
Yeah. Well, you know, when it comes to the black man, you know, the black man often receives, you know, a lot of rhetorical psychobabble, but he never receives, you know, the level of help he needs, especially because most of the people that I see walking around here, you know, that are like, you know, like they obviously have some mental challenges. You know, it's another brother that I see right down here in northeast Charlotte in the Queen City. I mean, I've been seeing this guy ever since I first moved here, and I've been living here like 4 years now. And you know, he stands on the corner, and he has a big ass stick that he carries around like a staff. He has like a shopping cart full of junk and shit. And he's been standing on the same corner for like 4 years, barefooted, whether it's rain, sleet, snow, sunshine, barefooted, just standing there yelling at traffic and talking crazy. Okay. Real psycho, quote unquote, psycho babble. Okay. The whole time he's standing there and nothing. You see him there all the time. He obviously has come from somewhere. Maybe he has been cycled in and out of institutions. I don't know. But can they hold them though? Like, can they make them like stay there? Like, because obviously if they're just wandering the streets and standing on a corner and wearing suits made out of fruit and crap like that, I mean, obviously they can't keep them, or because if not, they'd still be there, right?
Right. Yeah, it's a civil rights issue to hold people against their will. However, if they are a threat to themselves or a threat to another human being, they can definitely get put on a 72-hour hold in most places. But yeah, it's difficult, especially because a lot of times, since those folks are homeless, they don't have anywhere to discharge them to. So sometimes they will hold them until they find a location to discharge the person to, which can be difficult depending on what type of homelessness services you have in your area. If you're in a state that don't have a lot, sometimes those people can end up in the hospital for a month or two or a month and a half before they get housed somewhere. But technically, well, it kind of depends on the institution, but usually they can't discharge people just into the street. Like they have to place them somewhere, or someone has to identify and come pick them up. They don't just kick them out. However, I did know, and I think I did see a video that went kind of viral a couple months ago with the black woman. I think she was in Baltimore, and they had let her outside, and she was just like butt naked. And she definitely had mental illness issues because the person who was filming her was like following her and talking to her and stuff. Did you see that video? Are you familiar with that one?
I think so. I think I know what you're talking about because I watched that kind of crap, on YouTube and
stuff. She was running around kind of wilding, but she definitely had some, serious pristine mental illnesses. And I think the reason why they put her out of the hospital is because she was in the ER. So if someone comes through the ER with a psychological issue and they are, wilding out, if they don't have placement in that hospital, if they don't have a psych unit in that hospital, or they can't find placement, they will just put people out because it's an emergency room. Just like when they stitch you up, you done. You gotta hit the road.
As long as they're not like hurt or nothing like that.
Yep.
They don't care if they crazy as hell.
Nope.
They just say, okay, get the hell out. Even if they don't got on no clothes. Goddamn, they just send them out there in their drawers.
Can't give them a gown or nothing.
Yeah, 5 degrees, but it's like 5 below zero and shit.
Crazy.
And they send them out there in their drawers in the snow and shit. Like, okay, see you later. And if they try to come back in there to get a little heat, they're gonna call the police on them. I mean, it's like it's the nuttiest of things, man, because you hear all this talk, you hear talk about, the mental health. And I think a lot of us, me personally, I think a lot of us, I agree with you that a lot of us in Black society, we need some kind of damn mental therapy because a lot of us are just freaking nuts. Okay. Me included. I need some goddamn therapy, and I'm willing to admit it. A lot of us, we need some therapy, and I think it would settle a lot of things, man. It would clear up a lot of things for Black folks, especially when you're talking about, Black people, the way we grow up, man. And I don't mean, we don't need a bunch of goddamn psycho babble, that we don't need. We need people talking to people who are real psychologists and really understand, critical thinking and the thought process of a human being. We need people sitting down with people like that. I don't think we need more people sitting down, in a group with their damn girlfriends or in the middle of their damn peanut gallery trying to give goddamn counseling sessions. I mean, I think that may be somewhat effective, but for some of us, we too far gone for that shit. We need the real shit. Okay, we don't need the watered down version of psychology. We need the real, we need the real psychology. Maybe the watered down version may work for a few people, but for those of us who are really fucked up here, we need the real thing. Yeah, we need the real thing. And I think if we had if we had some more of that, man, kind of trickling down into the neighborhoods, if we had more of that, into trickling down into the ghettos and the more impoverished geographical locations of Black society. If we had, some of us may even need family psychotherapists where they go in there with their family and sit down and talk to a psychologist.
I would recommend that's probably where we need to go the most.
Okay.
Is family therapy. The reason why, well, I have a bias because that's where I got my focus for my psychotherapy degree was marriage and family therapy. But we are communal people. We do things in groups. We are very communal minded. Also, a lot of our pain and trauma stems from the family dynamics that we have, and our families don't heal. One of the things that I've noticed in my 4.5 years of practicing therapy is that I could do great work with the individual, and then they leave my office and they go back home to the craziness, and then they come back a week later and we got to start all the way over because some more crazy shit done happen at home. So if I can bring the home into the office or me into the home to kind of work out some of those dynamics, now everybody's getting some healing. Everybody's working on their stuff, or at least enough people in that dynamic are working on their stuff where the dynamic's starting to shift. Unfortunately, we can try to one by one this, and that's not going to work. At the end of the day, as an individual, you definitely need to be developing yourself and attempting to change. But the circles that you put yourself in are going to have a huge impact on how far you go. So if you can convince them into getting some healing just like you are, is going to go a whole hell of a long way than you just saying, all my family crazy, F them, I'm about to just do my own thing. Unless you plan on, excluding yourself from your family, everybody need to get some work.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. I mean, even if you are a person who, if you are, you have a psychologist or someone like yourself that, you coming in, you're getting, sessions from, once, twice a week, whatever it is. And, you're pretty sane, but you go to your family and there's 6 members in there. Okay, and they're all nuts. So what's more likely to happen? Is the one sane person going to turn the other 6 people crazy, or are the 6 crazy people about to turn the same people crazy like them? It's not like the sane person's going to go in there and turn all these crazy people sane. What's going to happen is the people who are nuts, they're going to turn the sane people nuts. So I mean, I think, if it's to a point, especially like you said, if your mental issues are stemming from what's going on in the family dynamic, like you said, I think the whole family should be like, like coming down to the office, or like you said, you coming down and sitting down and talking to, everybody, so everybody can get their levels of mental help, to address their mental health. Everybody, because everybody probably ain't, one thing about a crazy family, all of them are different levels of crazy. Some of them are level 2, some level 4, some level 8. You got maybe 1 or 2, maybe, everybody's not on the same level of crazy in your family. Some are more crazier than others. Some are like 9s, and then you got some, they're like a 2. So you have to come in and address each family member, give them the right dose, because you don't want to give the level 2 crazy the same thing that you give the level 9, because the level 9, he damn near ready for a straight jacket. The level 2, he's not. He's just, kind of off, maybe got a little tiny disorder. The level 9, he's about 5 seconds. He's one crazy statement from a straight jacket. So, you have to address it in that way. But let me go ahead and first let me go ahead and tell these folks, let me reprimand my audience right quick. Let me tell these folks, you need to be going ahead, man, and hitting these here likes. See that down there? See that? See that thumb? It looks like that. You need to go ahead and slide your hand over. Hit that. And also, if you're feeling generous, you might want to throw a few coins in that bucket right there. Brother DUG, you know, he also puts it up there for a brother. It's appreciated. So you got 2 opportunities to drop a few coins in the bucket. It's greatly appreciated. So come on now, a few coins in the bucket. If you don't want to put no coins here, at least put a like here. If you don't want to put a like here, at least put some coins here. You know, show your generosity. Support Black media. You know it is greatly appreciated. But anyway, Brother Jones, if let me ask you this. I know I ask you a lot of questions, man. It's because I always learn stuff, you know, when you I always learn stuff when you come on. So if, say for instance, I got 10 of you, okay, 10 Dr. Jones like you, Brother Jones, I got 10 of y'all, okay, at my disposal. Where should I send my 10 Dr. Joneses first? Should I send my 10 Dr. Joneses to the prisons? Should I send my 10 Dr. Joneses to the ghetto? Should I send my 10 Dr. Joneses to the conscious community? Like, I got 10 of you at my disposal, and someone says you can take these 10 Dr. Jones and send them wherever you want to send them. Where do I send my 10 Dr. Joneses first?
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer. Because it forces me to say one area is more important than the other. So since I'm answering that question,
that's what I'm getting at.
Since I have to answer the question the way it was asked to me, I would send 10 Dr. Joneses to the school system. And I would start, actually, I would send 5. Well, it'd be education, 5 at the middle school level. No, let me back up. 5 at the elementary school level and 5 at the pre-K level. And that's where I would start. The reason for that is most of two things. The human brain is at its highest level of development between the ages of 4 and 8 years old. That is an area that we do not pay enough attention to as Americans. We just don't give a damn about early childhood care. I mean, some people care, but as a nation, we don't make that a priority, which is why when we look at intelligence and test scores and all those other, metrics of academic success, we are like number 25 on the damn list. And all these other areas these other countries are super high, and they have way less economics than we do, but the way that they do early childhood education is a lot better. But nobody wants to make that correlation on a political level for whatever reason. So I would say I would send 5 of us at that pre-K level, 5 of us at that elementary school level, and what we would do is we would develop social emotional intelligence skills, academic skills, and survival skills in young people, starting from 3 years old to about 12. I think you about 12, 13. By then, if we can do that, if we had the power to do that, we could shift the community. I would, we could do it at the kindergarten level. I would split the boys and the girls up. So those 5 who are at the elementary school level, I would try to have, some kind of good blend of, maybe I'll take 6. So I have 3 female versions and 3 male versions. We'll split the girls and the boys up, and they'll go through their elementary level that way, right? And then my other 4 people who are at the pre-K level, they'll just have all the kids together. They would work with the young kids, and they would work with the parents, doing what we call a dual generational approach. So you're working with the parents and you're working with the young kids. When you're working with the parents, we're working on 3 things. We're working on the parents learning how to develop themselves individually. We're working on the parents learning how to co-parent no matter what the relationship status is. And you're working on the parents on how to be damn parents, period, right?
Yeah,
those 3 things, right? You work on that. If they can get the basis down with those 3 things, by the time that child's 5 years old, that child has a great opportunity to having a very successful life. With the kids, we're working on social emotional intelligence skills. We're working on basic survival skills. Now, how do you do basic survival skills with a 3-year-old, right? It's teaching them the rights and the wrongs, things that are dangerous, things that are not dangerous. And also you're teaching them things like how to read, literacy, right? How to count. You're teaching them those basic building blocks of a child that often get missed because we just turn on, Bubble Guppies or Dora the Explorer or Doc McStuffins and sit our kids down. We don't help them develop cognitively. We just let the media, the screens develop them. And then also, what else I say? I said the social emotional skills, the academic skills as well, which is tied into that. But 3-year-olds need to learn how to tie their shoes. They need to learn how to, clear a table. People need to learn how to eat together, which is something we don't do anymore. We don't sit down at a table and eat. For example, in my household, I have 2 daughters. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. One of the things that we do every day is we ask each other what was our high and our low today at dinner. Every day we do this. And my 2-year-old starts it off. Daddy, what was your high today? Now, she understands what that means at the age of 2. She understands that means this is the best part of my day was this. And we ask, what was your low today? And then sometimes I just started blending this in a couple months ago. What are you grateful for? Because I want them to have appreciation of their life, even at the age of 2 and 5. What am I doing? I'm developing their cognitive ability to, one, see their own self-worth and be aware of their environment. What did not work for you today, right? My 2-year-old daughter, well, Megan, her little friend at daycare, hit her. Did you hit her back? That's the next question. And if she hit her back, like, how hard did you hit her, right? Because you need to learn how to defend yourself, even at 2. I don't want her being a bully and beating up kids at daycare, but I do want her to know if somebody hits you, you have the right to defend yourself at 2. Now, most parents be like, what the hell is Brandon teaching this 2-year-old? But guess what? She don't take no shit. And she shouldn't have to, right? My 5-year-old, same thing. She knows how to defend herself. She's more verbal than she is physical because she got a slick mouth. But she knows how to articulate her frustrations with people at 5. And it might be an adult. And she's not doing it in a way where she's just like, fuck you. She's not just cussing out adults. She's saying, hey, why are you doing this to me? And if you keep doing this, I'm going to tell my dad. Right. So she understands that, 1, I can protect her in the situation. And 2, she has a voice in the situation if she feels that something wrong has been done, which she has done. She's let me know plenty of times. Hey, Mrs. So-and-so, Mrs. Anderson is causing some problems, Dad. You might have to come talk to her. And guess what? I'm there the next day figuring out what happened between my child and Mrs. Anderson. And my kids know, they recognize that my dad can protect me. And I also have a voice in protecting myself. That's what I mean by developing kids and doing these types of things. That is revolutionary, right? It's not picking up guns and saying we're going to just wipe out, white supremacy. But it's teaching kids a different way how to exist in this world that is counter to the anti-Black way that they already are in. That's what I'm trying to accomplish. That's what I would do. So if you gave me 10 of me, that'd be my strategy because I'm trying to build better people instead of rebuild people. Because you know what, man? I'm a millennial, 32 years old, and it's hard working with my folks, my peers. It's difficult, man. I mean, lost. We got some good brothers out here, but the thinking patterns and the behaviors are so off. It's hard to redirect them because a lot of us think that we're right. We don't want to learn nothing. And this has been a big topic of conversation over the last couple of months in the manosphere is this whole millennial versus these old heads, these Generation Xers and the boomers. Like everybody's going back and forth because the millennials don't want to learn nothing. We don't want to hear nothing y'all got to say. It's like I can Google the shit you're trying to tell me. So what do you want to do? And with that type of mentality, we are in danger because we need to be listening to the rights and the wrongs that you all have gone through and figuring out how does that apply to our lives today. Because y'all might say some stuff that don't apply today, but we should be able to decipher between that and understand the lesson so we can move forward. And we don't have enough young Black folks, not even just the brothers and sisters that can do that at the moment, unfortunately.
Yep. I totally agree. Well, what do you think about Brother Jones, the educational system is part of the American educational system, in public schools, because most of our kids don't go to private schools, they go to public schools. Do you think that the public school system is part of the psychobabble train? And I'm not talking about the teaching of the math the sciences, the technology, you know, not the STEM stuff, the other stuff, uh, the uh, uh, the culture of American schools. Do you believe that that's psychobabble? Do you believe that it has had an effect on the psychology of children because of the way it's presented, who it's being presented by per se, especially when you're talking about young black children, because we know that somewhere between 70 and 80% of the teachers in America are white women. Okay. Even though, you know, they're teaching in all kinds of schools, 80% of these teachers are white women. So do you think that is there an element of psychobabble there within the teachings outside of the STEM that they're being taught? You know, the mathematics and the science and the technology, the other stuff that they're teaching them, you know, how they deal with the children. Is that part of like this psychological thing that's affecting black children? Has that played a part in it, and how much?
Absolutely, it's played a huge part of it. I'll be talking about this on another program in a couple of days. The education system shifted for us when we, quote unquote, integrated into the schools. One of the things that it did for our community is we gave up complete control. And it was a slow process. It wasn't an overnight process. Let me say that. We gave up complete control of educating, not schooling, educating our own children. We gave up that control to a whole nother institution, an institution that did not have the best intention for our children to be educated at the level that they should be educated in. At the time, you have to remember what the economic system was like. We had a lot of factories and things like that. And those jobs were slowly starting to be sent overseas and out of the country. And the education system has never changed, even though on the jobs have, right? And we never changed it. Also during that time, the education system had became more feminine. We had more of a feminine and feminist influence on education. And there's a good book on this called More Than Title IX that talks about this. There's another good book called I think it's called The Boy Problem. I just read this book over the summer called The Boy Problem that also talks about how boys were pushed out of the education system. That feminist twist on education shifted how development of culture happens, especially for black folks. Really, it shifted for all folks. Because now you have a lot of feminine men just in general, which does not help a nation when you have a lot of feminine men, because now we have a lot of gender confusion as far as roles and responsibilities and how to maintain and move ourselves throughout the world. But for black folks, one of the biggest things that I think is us giving up that complete control over to an education system to educate our children. But what our education system does is school our children. And there's notable people who talk about this. Most of these people are white, right? We have a guy by the name of John Taylor Gatto who wrote the book Dumbing Us Down. Another book, the Dumbing Down of America by Charlotte Iserby. Even Dr. Wanja Kanjufu, I better say his name right, with the destruction of black boys, talking about how the educational system has ruined African-American children, but boys more specifically. And it has not helped the boys or the girls. And also having boys and girls in the same educational institutions is very problematic as well. So one of I have a couple different solutions to this, but one of the things I think we need to do as black folks is take back the educational part of our children. They can go through the public school system, but they're not getting any supplemental education with that. They're learning off the streets. And the streets are not controlled by us anymore, right? True. And some of the streets are digital, and they're just learning by what they see, which is a lot of nonsense most of the time online. We need to be able to institute institutions that help educate our children. We need to be putting back in programs. I think we need to have something like a black version of the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts where we have our children being educated on life outside of that academic area. Or the academic setting of an actual school, because really we're being schooled on information that's not really helping us in this new world that we're in. There are some schools who are doing better than others, but generally public school is really just helping you pass enough to get to the next grade level. And even now, with No Child Left Behind, you could just pass even if you ain't ready for the next grade level. They're just going to keep pushing you forward. And then you done got a degree, a high school diploma, and now you lost because you were not prepared for what's out here in this real world. This real world is digital. This real world has AI attached to it. This real world has, you need to have a skill set, a set of skills, not just one. You need to know how to do a couple different things if you want to make decent money, because in the next 10 years or so, it's about to be even tighter than it is now. And the education that we have now is not preparing our young people for the future. So that's one thing that I would do, is have some supplemental institutions that help educate outside of the actual schooling that we go through, what is it? That 9 months out of the year, 10 months out of the year, Monday through Friday. The other thing I think we would need to do is separate the boys and the girls. I know I mentioned that earlier. There is just too much hypersexual activity and just foolishness that happens with both boys and girls in the same environment. And I think separating them sets a different tone physically for development, especially with hormones getting into like middle school and high school, and also cognitively, right? So it's just a bunch of boys, and when boys get together, they get competitive. When girls get together, they get competitive. Now, what are we competing for? We're not competing for sexual attention from the opposite gender. We're competing academically, right? And then you have instructors who represent that same level of excellence to help teach these children, to help them move forward. That's the type of behavior that we need. And then once they graduate, we need to be setting an expectation that you're going to have something beyond the 12th grade when they're in the 5th grade. All right. So there needs to be an expectation that you are going to go into something outside of 12th grade graduation, whether that's some kind of level of military, whether we start taking over some of these community colleges and some of these fields. One of the things that I see other ethnic groups doing is they cluster in fields. People don't pay attention to this. And sometimes they cluster in jobs as well. So if you have an influx of a certain immigrant group into your neighborhood, they all have the same type of job. And then they get on, right? They might all be taxi drivers for the next 5 to 10 years. The next thing you know, they open up their own taxi service. Now, next thing you know, they got a lock on the whole taxi market. We need to do the same thing as Black folks. What are these jobs that people are saying we need more skills in, like plumbing and welding and truck driving? We need to cluster those. So all the Black boys who aren't going to the military, all the dudes who ain't playing, college sports, all the dudes who ain't going straight to a 4-year college, we are pushing you to go get welding degrees and trucking degrees and IT certifications or whatever. We're just going to cluster some fields, and that's the expectations. We should be thinking just like, Indians from India think. You are going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a doctor. We need to be having that same mentality. You're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do this, so that they know at the age of 10, 11, and 12, I have a future. Because a lot of Black kids don't think they have a future. They're just living for right now, right? Yeah. But they also have people in their community holding them to a standard of excellence from what they see as excellence, which is being a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever, some high level profession. We need to do the same thing. The third thing that we need to do that we don't do good enough is we need to support our shining stars. The young people who are at a cognitive and intellectual level that is high, we need to fucking push them as far as they can go, because those are going to be the leaders on, not all the time, but usually them smart kids are going to be leaders, because what happens is other people see that ability and they take it. It happened with me. Okay, I'm saying this from experience. I've had a lot of opportunity in my life, but I had a level of Black consciousness that I did not sell out and say I'm out, right? But then you have brilliant Black men like Ben Carson. Brilliant, right? You can hate his political views, but if you just see what he's done, yes. He's the first man to cut a person's brain in half and do a neurological surgery to cut a person's brain in half. And this person lived. Google Jody, the girl with the half brain. Dr. Ben Carson did that. He's the first. I think he was the first to also do Siamese twins where the heads were stuck together.
Yeah, he was the first to separate Siamese twins, man. So you're talking about a brain surgeon when you hear people say, "Oh, this isn't brain surgery."
Right.
That
That
is
is
brain surgery. Yeah, it's brain
brilliant.
surgery. So I
Brilliant.
mean, but I was on O'Shea Duke Jackson's stream last night, and they had a brother up there. I forgot his name. Brother AM1 was his name, and he was talking about how only very highly intelligent select people should have children, and
Oh,
I ran up against that. I countered that. Because I knew where he was going with it, but I disagreed with him. I said I don't believe that only highly intelligent people should have children, but what I do believe is that people who have more structure, guidance, counsel, and time to invest in the children should be having children. The people who run around smoking crack, and getting high and getting drunk and not coming home for 2 weeks, they definitely don't need to have children. Yeah, they don't need to have any. But the people who have the structure and the ability and the planning and the desire and the interest to do it should be doing it. And I say that to say this because when you have children, because children they're going to be the leaders. Okay, I mean, when we dead and gone, they still going to be here. I mean, that's just a fact. We're going to be when we're dead and gone. So we in the young ones, okay? Because I say this a lot too. Frederick Douglass says it's easier to raise strong children than it is to repair broken men. So we're going to lose a lot of adults in the fight. Because some of them are just going to do what they're going to do. Some of them in love with white folks. Some of them just going to, they're just not going to be part of the change. But the children, you can bring these children up, like you say you do in your daughters. You can bring them up to have respect, honor, integrity, drive, diligence, self-discipline, mental discipline, physical discipline, emotional discipline. You can groom that into these young children, man. So when they get to be our age, they won't make the silly, stupid, badass decisions that we made, when we were younger. And I think that we miss it, man. I think we miss it. A lot of us, we miss the opportunities because we don't know. You spoke about how a lot of times within Black society, we're not grooming our children to grow up and have a trade, to be a mechanic or a plumber or an electrician or a roofing guy, things that aren't going anywhere. Trust me, I live in a construction town. You can't drive 2 miles without seeing a building going up, a store going up, a skyscraper going up. So these are trades that aren't going anywhere. But we don't groom that in our children. We don't groom them to be that. You know why? Because we sitting around telling ourselves that our son's going to be a rapper. We sitting around telling ourselves that our daughter's going to be a singer. We sitting around telling ourselves that our son's going to be an NFL player or an NBA player. Not once do we sit back and say, okay, I want to groom my child to be an entrepreneur. I want to groom my child to take on a trade, become a welder, become, an electrician. We never think that shit. We thinking that our daughter's going to be a singer, even though she's 15 and a black ass can't carry a note. We thinking our son's going to be an NBA player. He's 15 and can barely bounce the damn ball. That's kind of where we at, as Black people, because we live the fantasy, man. We live the dream.
You know what's even worse is many of us aren't even doing that.
Nope.
Many of us are thinking they gonna figure it out on their own. And when they get 18, they need to get the hell up out of here.
Yeah.
That's many people think that way. They think they grown anyway, and the person's 14 years old.
Yeah.
So let them figure it out. And we have to be able to deal with that level of stress that we're not giving up on our kids so soon. And we're not just letting our kids be out there to the wolves. A brother, I think he might have been on your channel before, Quad B. He used to talk a lot about this generational living where you should be staying in the same household as long as possible with other people in your family. And I was like, man, that's smart as hell. So I started having conversations with my wife because we're like, we need to buy a home because we rent now. We need to buy a home. And I said, what if we bought a house with your parents? Because your dad still works. Your mom still works. Me and you have really good jobs. we can buy like a 5-6 bedroom house and pay like $300 a piece on a we can put the mortgage in one of our kids' names, right? And buy this house and just live together. And they were like, damn, that is a good idea. And I was like, I got it off YouTube. I got it off YouTube. But thinking like that, instead of thinking when you get 18, you need to get out of here. How are we helping support each other? Because at 18, that's another revenue stream to bring into your house to lessen your stress if you had the dynamics together. But there's so much tension in our homes, in our family dynamics, that we just want to get rid of the problem. And unfortunately, that problem ends up being our kids, right? Until little man or baby girl end up having their own child, and it's, oh, come on back in so I can help you take care of this baby. But we should have been planning for things ahead of time instead of just being reactionary. We should have been more proactive.
Yeah, well, often, you know how this is, Brother Jones. Oftentimes, we black folks, man, we flying the plane while we building it. You know, we're building just enough on it to keep it from crashing. We flying it while we're building it. So, you
plane 10 feet from the ground, but like, we still going.
Yeah, we still flying. Yeah, we're still flying. We building just enough on it to keep it from crashing into the damn mountain. I mean, what happens, man, with stuff like that is that, see, I know me. I came from a really big family. Okay, there was 9 of us. All right, it was 9 of us. Right, five boys, 4 girls. Right, and you know it was tight. You know it was tight. One bathroom. It's like the Brady Bunch up in there. You know, so when you grow up in those type of environments, you kind of wanna, like, you know, get away. You know, you don't want to be in a house with 11, 12 people anymore because you grew up in that shit. You know, I know me, when I was a young guy, I was like, there's no way in hell I'm having 11 kids because I see how it is in here with 11 people. You know, so when I got older and I started having kids, I knew I wasn't going to have 9, 10, 11. I knew that because I knew what that shit was like. I grew up in that. All right. I grew up where it was like freaking 9 of us. You know, we fighting over the bathroom and fighting over seats at the kitchen table and all this kind of nonsense. You know, I didn't want that. It's really, really tight and it's cramped. So I didn't have that many children. But I think oftentimes, especially black folks who are on the lower socioeconomic scale, those are the people who are having the most children. You know, and I talked about this the other night too. Those are the people who are having the most children. So when you come out of a family where it's 7, 8, 9 of y'all, the last fucking thing you want to do is live with 7, 8, 9 people again when you're an adult. Because see, now you have control over that shit. So you're like, nah, I ain't living with no 7, 8, 9 people. You know, so I think that has a lot to do with it too. You know, I mean, because we go through so many different things as black folks. You know, the black experience is a crazy experience. You know, some of us grow up with pretty decent lives. A lot of us grow up with shitty lives, and everybody else grows up with a life in between, you know, those 2 points. So when we as black people find ourselves to have the ability to get away from black folks, more often than not, that's what the hell we do. Even if those black folks are people who we share DNA with, we get the hell away from them too. We don't just get the hell away from stranger black folks. We get the hell away from familiar black folks. Hey, let's get away from all of them. So I think that has a lot to do with it and why we kind of can't, you know, kind of come together collectively. You always hear people talk about, oh, we need to come together. We need unity. We need this. We need that. A lot of us, man, we can't even stand each other. That's why we can't come together as a damn collective. We don't really like each other. We don't like the people we grew up with. We don't like the people who are our brothers and sisters. We don't like our mama. We don't like our daddy. We hate our fucking cousins. So how the hell are we going to come together with all these damn strangers, okay, on the block? Doesn't make any sense. A lot of us grow up, we don't even want to be bothered with our siblings. We don't even want to be bothered with our father, with our mother. A lot of us are like that. Not everybody, but a lot of us are like that. So we can't stand the people who we grew up with, but we're gonna now get out and collectively get together with a bunch of strangers that we met on freaking YouTube. That doesn't even make any sense. What sense does that make? And I think that is kind of the bigger picture. with black folks, because I think it's a psychological thing with us. You know, we have like some type of psychological shit going on with us that keeps us from doing these things because of our upbringing, our parents, our relationships, all that shit. You know, by the time we get to be our age, you know, 30s and 40s, we like, you know what? I've had enough. I got control of my life. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. And I'm not doing anything that's either close to this or that. So I think that is what keeps us from doing, you know, more of what, you know, you were talking about, you know, coming together, maybe purchasing, you know, a building together. I think that's what keeps us from doing it. We want to be the hell away from each other, even if it's just a house enclosed to a house. You know, we want to get the hell away from everybody. We don't want you in our space. We don't want to see your ass every day. We don't want to share nothing with you. We don't want to sit down at no table with you and talk about things. We don't want to do that. We don't want to see you. We want to see you when we want to see you. And we'd rather see you on here. Yeah, we'd rather FaceTime you, you know, than freaking come to your house. We'd rather Facebook Live you than sit down and shake your hand and have a meeting. Because this media shit, man, has crippled a big chunk of black folks. This shit here, this media shit has crippled black folks and made black people, it has magnified whatever mental issues we got as black people, especially when you got people on here running the old psychobabble shit. All right. So I don't know if it's ever going to get any better. I hope it does. But my hope is lackluster. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm ever going to live to see what many of the brothers talk about en masse. You're gonna see pockets of it, you know, like brothers like you and like my man Q Butter, who I was on the show with the other night. He's doing great things in New York City. You're doing great things out there. But see, the problem is we don't have 5 million Dr. Joneses. We don't have 5 million Q Butters. You know, we don't have that. Okay, we got one goddamn Dr. Jones in one state. We got one goddamn Q Butter in a whole city. And I think that is the greater problem. The fact that we don't have as many Dr. Joneses and Q Butters as we have Negroes running around, robbing, stealing, shooting people, and knocking old ladies in the head. See, we don't have enough of it to balance it out. Okay, we got too many people running around shooting, stabbing, and knocking old ladies in the head. We got 1 million of them, but we only got one Brother Jones. We got 500,000 people running around stealing cars, smoking crack, and burning down buildings, but we only got one Q Butter. And I think that has hurt us over the course of time. But yeah, about to wrap this up, man. Brother Jones, you know, I always appreciate you coming on, man. I mean, you always drop some nuggets. I always learn when you come up on here, man. You know, I know it's been a while since we chopped it up. It's been a good little while, man. And I always enjoy when you come on, man. Go ahead and shout your stuff out, man. Let everybody know where they can find you. If they need to talk to you, hit you up, whatever. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you again for bringing me on. I know it has been a while, but you said, hey, can you get on? And here we are. So it only took 24 hours.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So if you want to connect with me, I go by the handle Universal Jones when I'm in these YouTube streets. Usually when I'm on other people's channels, you can see me as Universal Jones. And that is my @ on all social media platforms. So if you're on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, if you put in Universal Jones, you can find me there. If you want to check out some of my content, my website is jegnainstitute.com. That's JEGNA institute.com, JENGA institute.com. You can search that. Also on YouTube, I have content on there.
Yeah, go ahead and put that in the chat, man. You can go ahead and put that in the chat because you're a mod. Go ahead.
I'll do that.
Put the website in there.
Yep. Did a podcast for a while. That's been on timeout because I've been teaching. But I do plan on getting back into podcasting pretty soon. Actually, I'm trying to build out my YouTube channel, so I do want to produce more content, get some of these thoughts and ideas out. But definitely check Jegna Institute .com, or you can look at Jegna. You can type in Jegna TV, or you can just type in Jegna and Brandon Jones in the search in Google, and you can find me there. So I'm available. I'm a resource. So if you're somebody in the counseling field, or you're thinking about getting into it, or you want to bounce some ideas off of me about Black folks and our mental health, feel free to hit me up. You can find my email address on my website.
And he doesn't care how crazy you are.
I will respond, but depending on how crazy you are, depends on how much I will continue the conversation.
If you're just a little crazy, he could talk to you. But if you like level 12 Looney Tunes, I don't know. He may be referring you to someone else. But anyway, I want to thank Brother Jones for coming on, man. I appreciate you, brother. And you out there also appreciate you too. What I need y'all to do right now is get on up there, get those likes up. I've been telling y'all that all damn night, but y'all never listen to nothing that X try to tell your black behinds. And also, if you're feeling generous, drop a few coins in this here bucket. See right there where it says the Proper Thought series look like it's been swiped by a yellow highlighter. Feel free to drop a few coins in the bucket. It's greatly appreciated. Also, get your behinds down the Prophet of Thought series on Facebook. That's Prophet of Thought, one word, series, the next word on Facebook. That's the main page. Go ahead, like, share, follow the page. It's a community page, but guess what? You can leave me a message and I always hit you back within 24 hours. And while you're doing that, make sure you get on down there to the TPOT bandwagon page. Now, that's a personal page on Facebook. You can actually send it a friend's request. I will make sure that request gets confirmed within 24 hours as well. And also, get on down to the Prophet of Thought series fan group page on Facebook. That's the Prophet of Thought series fan group page on Facebook. There's always some good stuff going on down there. I mean, there's like 2,700, 2,800 people in the group. I can't believe that many of y'all actually follow my stuff. What's the matter with you people? But yeah, get on down there to the old Prophet of Thought series group page. Stuff always getting posted down there. I mean, it's a fan group page, so it's not just my stuff, it's other people's stuff. So you ain't got to just listen to X talk shit all the time. There's other people in the group. They be down there talking shit all the time too. So get on down there, request to be a member. I'm pretty sure you'll get requested really, really quick. Also, hit us up on WhatsApp and Instagram. That's right. Prophet of Thought series on Instagram. That's Prophet of Thought on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. You're guaranteed to get a follow back. And also, we talk about this every week, y'all. Get on down there and follow us on Twitter. It's at TPOT Media on Twitter. That's at TPOT Media on Twitter. Get on down there. Follow us on Twitter, because if you don't, I will haunt you in your dreams the night before your birthday, and you'll be scared to get up the next day and get your birthday presents. So get on down there and follow us on the old TPOT Media Twitter page. And also, the new TPOTS website is coming. It is in the process right now. It's going to be good. It's going to be interactive. I got somebody working on it as we speak. So stay tuned for that, because TPOT is under construction. If you follow us, you have seen the changes. So be looking out for that. So once again, I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. I want to thank my mods in the chat, the people in the chat as well, especially Brother Doug. I salute you, my brother. You are one of a kind. I also want to thank you for showing up tonight and watching us and spending some time with us. And also, make sure you have your black behinds here tomorrow, because y'all know tomorrow is DXL, Dark X Live tomorrow. The subject will be a man's right to parent. We're going to have Info Man in the house. Brother BMT going to be in the house. Jay Shine's going to be in the house. Nagon's going to be in the house. And Black in Japan's going to be in the house. And you know me, I always have a few surprise guests for y'all. Not going to tell you who they are, but make sure you there tomorrow. Come through tomorrow, check it out. Join the conversation. It's going to be good, because you know DXL gets live. It does. So Make sure you have your black behinds here tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, to catch on up to DXL, A Man's Right to Parent. Once again, I want to thank my guest of honor, Brother Jones, for coming through tonight on real short notice. I appreciate that, brother. I really, really do. My man. So, with that, I will leave you with 3 words. Like I always do, open your minds. And we are out of here, y'all.
The Prophet of Thought series.
Peace, folks. Mind.